I don't know if you saw like some people
Oh, that's a
making
catchphrase.
putting out some takes on Twitter about the juniors and the seniors division. One of them I think came from Mello. And Mello's take was uh, that the juniors and seniors divisions should be basically open for registration before the masters division, and then once all the juniors and seniors have registered, then they allow the masters players to register, which I don't know if I necessarily agree with that. And then I saw another take from someone else that was like, it feels like the growth of the game isn't matching the cap size for tournaments is not tracking with the growth of the game for juniors and seniors. Like the juniors and seniors divisions are being capped at a lower rate than the masters are. There's more juniors and seniors missing out than there are masters division players missing out. I think it's basically what the take was, which more room for everyone would be great. But I don't think I necessarily agree with Mello's take. I don't know if there's something you've thought about, but the growth of the game is very important. And I think one thing I will say about this, the majority of the growth of the game does come from the Masters division, though. Although I do think we need to make sure the juniors and seniors divisions, as long as they're going to stick around, are growing in a healthy manner and giving room to grow and for the kids to play. But the majority of new players are coming through the Masters division year over year.
I don't remember who I heard talking about this at some point. It was someone who had been playing, who's like a master now, who'd been playing since they were a kid. And they talked about how when they were a kid, that Pokemon TCG was a very cheap, affordable hobby that they would go to their local league and then ride with a friend to the nearby two or one or two regionals throughout the year. The tournaments were free to enter, at some point $20 to
Yep.
enter. It was a very like reasonable hobby for like regular working class American family to have. But now it almost feels like for juniors and seniors, like people are kind of priced out of competing in the game. Obviously, people can still compete at the tournaments near them, regardless of those things. But it is still what is it? It's cheaper for juniors and seniors, right? I think it's like $45. Is that right? I think it is cheaper
Yeah.
than masters. There's just the huge cost of, and one of like Remy here replies to this talking about the consideration of parents traveling to events too, right? Like it's much more like any master who is 18 up, whatever, can get to these tournaments, cheap flight, carpool for a long time with a group of people, bum it on a hotel floor as well for a weekend. Like you and I both did plenty of that whenever we were competing early on, right? But it's a lot more difficult for kids to do that because then you have the cost of the parents, and then it's like, okay, we're gonna share hotel rooms with other families. Like, what are we gonna do here, right? It's a much more expensive hobby than maybe it once was.
That feels like that's only true if you're competing for a Worlds Invite. They've been priced out of being able to compete for their Worlds Invite, which I don't think is like which I like theoretically kinda sucks, but like, I don't think it's that big of a deal. I think, like, competing for just wanting to compete for what you can go to should be a fine way to view the game.
Sure.
And I think we talked about this as well. It feels like the idea of the Worlds Invite may be partly Pokemon's fault for making it the only thing to play for, but players only playing for that. I mean, I would be fine if they charge Masters Division like, I don't know, 5 more bucks and then made juniors and seniors free to enter. For the local players, going to like a big tournament like this, being able to pay like $45 probably isn't a big deal for most parents in these situations. So, but if it became free, I mean, I wouldn't mind it becoming free if like the Masters had to pay like 5 more bucks. I don't, not everyone probably feels that way, but I'd be fine with that personally. I don't think it would increase like a massive, like a huge demand increase would happen in the juniors and seniors division. All of a sudden, if it became free to enter, like
Mhm.
it would only maybe increase the demand for like local players. But if you're if you're paying for a hotel room and a flight for you and your kids or kid, I doubt like the $45 can make that big of a difference between you going to that tournament or not if you are like flying. Yeah, but I'm curious for the community's thoughts on the junior senior. Do you guys think there are problems that in the lower divisions uh that aren't just growing pains that are also things in the master division? And what are they? Let us know in the comments.
I'm
I
sure there's
definitely
plenty of
appreciate
Poke
to know
parents listening that would be happy to tune in. We'd love to hear some
some
input
takes.
there.